Yep.
It comes with an art book, a soundtrack, and also stickers that you can put. Stickers are cool. I like stickers.
As God, who was it? Was it Tyler that said this? Or maybe it was Tim. When we had Something Classic, the devs from Something Classic came on.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, I have these stickers. I don't know what to do." And Tim was like,
Throw them in the trash.
"No," he was like, "Why did you ruin the joke, you bitch?" He said, "Take your stickers, put them on a piece of paper, and then throw it in the trash." That would have been funnier if you hadn't ruined the joke. Hello, my lovely left and right Joy-Cons. Welcome to the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 39. I am your host, Oni Dino. With me, I have a limited edition Pro Controller that comes in disappointing colors. Womp womp. It's Galen!
I'm trying to think of what colors that would be. I'm thinking neon brown and like zebra stripes.
I don't know, zebra stripes are kind of cool.
Yeah, but just on one controller with no matching pair.
It would be like the glossy black color that's on like the Wii U gamepad, so that way it makes no sense with the rest of the controls. And then something like, God, I don't even know.
Only zebra on half of it.
It would be like gray, but it has a design on it, but the design is so badly done that it just kind of looks like it was scratched.
Can I say something? Having Joy-Con controllers that come in one color on one side and a completely different color on the other makes my OCD, like, it makes me hurt. Like, I need matching pairs.
But the irony in this is that you saying Joy-Con controllers made my heart hurt. Do you also go up to the ATM machine?
I do.
So Galen, how's your life? What's up right now? How you doing?
It's going okay. I've been sneezing and sniffling all day, so I don't know if I'm just like being very susceptible to allergies right now or if I'm coming down with a cold. Regardless, I apologize if I sound more nasally and irritating than normal.
Keyword irritating right there.
Keyword normal.
Hey, thanks again to some of our lovely listeners. I just can't even say. I saw a couple more people left us iTunes reviews last week, and that is so incredibly thoughtful and helpful, particular to the nonsense algorithms that go on in the electronic world. That's like the most helpful thing that you can do to support our show. So, I mean, you know, in addition to like talking about us nonstop and introducing us to your friends.
Introduce us. We want to meet more people.
We'll be their virtual friends, just like we are your virtual friend. So anyway, thanks again. We absolutely love you for that. I don't know who it was, though.
I think it was Jeff.
Jeff?
Yeah. To all of our Jeff listeners, one of you guys, you're awesome.
You just made it all up. So, what's coming up in this episode? We got a lot that we're actually chatting about. Of course, we're going to be talking about the big, evolving story that is Joy-Con and Joy-Con Drift.
Mm-hmm.
We have lots of little information happening from the show, whatever. Oh, this is a rough one. This is already rough. We're like 2 minutes in. Lots of little things about Fire Emblem, a new Switch bundle, limited edition Darkstalker, all kinds of crazy stuff. Plus, Pokemon Masters, because I think I promised everyone that we would talk about that, and then we didn't. I don't know. We're talking about it this episode.
We do that a lot, I've been noticing.
No, shut up.
I'm saying that's a good thing because there is so much stuff out there to talk about. We just can't get to everything.
Yeah. So you're going to get a bunch of it this episode. So stick around. Let's talk about, starting off, our adventure log. How's it go, Galen?
Adventure log.
You're like Christina Aguilera. So, Galen, why don't you tell me a little bit more about your adventures in God of Warhammer?
Yeah, so I'm actually really glad that I got some time in this week for this game. It's increasing my opinion of the game on what I had before. It is incredibly entertaining. It is constantly surprising me, and I'm having my first moments of, I'm going to call it programmable discovery. It's those little moments in the game that you're playing around and you realize you can do something, you try it out, and then it works, and you're like, oh my god, this is absolutely amazing, I can't believe I figured this out. And then you kind of like, in the back of your mind, you realize that the programmer's totally meant for this to be an option that you can do in the game. But you lie to yourself and realize that it wasn't to make you feel smarter. So, for example, there was a puzzle that we have in the game where you throw your axe at a platform, it spins around, and then it like opens up a door or something like that. There's another mechanic in the game where if you throw your axe against something, because there are frost properties on the axe, you can actually freeze whatever you throw it at. So up until now, you've been throwing the axe at some gears and then freezing them so it can hold in place while you go do whatever you need to do, and then you go ahead and jump back.
Okay.
There was a clamped down spike pit in front of me. And it was like one of those ceiling traps where it was the spikes on top and it just like comes slamming down. It was already closed, but I could see the crank or the lever right next to it. Throw the axe at it, manage to spin it around enough for it to actually rotate its way back up to the top of the ceiling, threw the axe at it, and it froze the gears. So it's not going to fall down on me. I jump across to the other side. And all of a sudden these monsters come up, and I'm trying to get to like an extra treasure that's there. And I'm like, okay, so this is kind of prompting me that, hey, I need to go ahead and use my fists instead of the axe, because most people at this point are probably using the axe primarily. So this is a good change of, you know, the flow of how you're playing the game. I get that. Get through the first wave, absolutely no problem. Get to the second one though, and this mini boss comes out, and he is this like hulking 400 pounds pure muscle brute that is just ready to beat me in the face, and I'm supposed to have a fist fight with this guy. I realize that, crap, every other time I've fought him up until this point, I've been using long range with the axe, but I can't do that because the axe is frozen in the spike trap. Okay, wait a minute. So I actually hop out of the spike trap. He's still in there, and I summon the axe back to my hand. The spike trap slams shut, instantly kills the guy. And your kid is on the side going, oh yeah, that was so awesome, which of course tells me that that was definitely something I was probably supposed to be doing from the very beginning. I just wasn't. But you know, a little part of me was just like, hey, kind of thinking outside of the box and how to figure this out.
That's great. That sounds really gratifying.
No, I'm very happy with this game so far.
Cool. So you're gonna keep playing till the end?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The story is also very captivating. I met a new character, and I kind of know what her backstory is because I've seen some like references online. The game's been out for almost a year now, so that's bound to stumble across that kind of stuff. But I still want to know the little details of the story kind of going into it. Yeah.
So as for me, I have been playing some Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, despite UPS wanting me to not play that damn game because UPS sucks, man. They delayed it and lost it, and then I had to call, and then they put in an investigation, then it's terrible. I miss in Tokyo, you can just order the thing if you're ordering it from online. You just order it to the convenience store that is closest to your place, and then it gets delivered in a day, and you go to the convenience store and you just pick it up. So it doesn't even matter if you're like at home or anything. It's the best.
Well, you could always get a P.O. box. That could always work.
That is awful. So anyway, been playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Been playing that with my husband, Clifton.
Mm-hmm.
And there
Mr.
is...
Oni.
There's plenty of good about this game, but there's also a little bit of bad. So I want to start off with good. There are tons of characters right out the gate in playing the game.
Positive. Storm's in it.
Yes, I've not met her yet. I haven't played it too much, just a couple hours.
Oh, okay.
But you meet tons of characters right out the gate. You're meeting them nonstop. You just can't even... You don't even have time to, like, really get to know how a character plays if you want to keep playing all the new ones that keep coming out, which is good. It's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
The game is also surprisingly difficult, not like immensely or anything, but there is a good challenge in there. I found myself like dying a couple times and having to think about a battle situation in a slightly different way than just a pure beat 'em up.
Okay.
And of course, I think I've mentioned before, but I really like the art direction. It is sort of like an 80-20 in terms of like comic book inspiration, and then 20% Marvel Cinematic Universe inspiration.
Okay.
You can see the inspiration from the MCU in characters like Captain America, but then so many other characters are very clearly inspired by the comics. And regardless, everybody just has these great colors that just pop. One of my problems with the first two Marvel Ultimate Alliance games is they are just so drab, but they're from an era of gaming on the PS3 and the 360 where everything was just drab, realistic colors, and it's no fun.
Okay.
It's really hard to go back and play games like that when, especially nowadays, so many more creators are using more color or being allowed to use more color in modern video games. So I always appreciate that.
Is it the colors in the level as a whole, or is it the colors in the character?
It's primarily the characters, but the levels themselves also have some good color to them. Like, so far I've been mostly inside of like a space station or whatever, or like a prison or something like that, but there's still little flares of color and everything is just very vibrant.
I'm excited to see what the alternate costumes are that they come out with later.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Now, some of the bad, there's not much of it, but the loading times are a little bit of an issue in only certain areas. So like when you boot up the game, you first boot up the game, it's a really long loading sequence. That I can sort of live with because you're just booting up the game. Then there are the loading times like I complained about in my impressions piece on Nintendo Everything, where you choose your characters and then you go back from one screen and it's loading all those new assets and those characters. It does seem shorter than the E3 demo. I'd have to like literally count the seconds. I'm not sure. I think it was like almost 10 seconds in the E3 demo. Here it's definitely not 10 seconds, but you know, I could live with it being a little shorter is all I'm saying.
Please tell me that whenever you're playing any of the Daredevil or Jessica Jones levels, it gets like 2 or 3 parts of the way through to downloading the level, and then just Netflix cancels everything and the game just crashes.
I haven't gotten there, but we will see. I liked the Daredevil Netflix show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cliff really liked that show too. He was just all about it nonstop. I've rewatched it since then.
I really liked Daredevil and Jessica Jones. Luke Cage I appreciated it. I liked what it did. I was entertained. I didn't like it as much as the other ones. I honestly thought the writing was a little bit weaker in that one. And then just Iron Fist. Just, what you doing, buddy? What you doing? It was
super awful, Iron Fist. I didn't care much for Jessica Jones. Luke Cage was only so-so. I'm not really into the whole like romanticizing and alcoholism like they do in Jessica Jones. It's just, I don't know. They don't portray it as a real problem, and I think that's kind of socially unhealthy. But anyway, getting out of that deepness that we're in there.
Yeah, that deep part's for later.
The other problem I have is that the camera in 2-player, sometimes it's totally fine. Other times it's like, woof, it is caught. Because there's like little alcoves or something you want to go into and like look if like, oh, is there a treasure chest here or something? And sometimes there is, but you can't tell if it's there or not because the camera won't swing around. You don't have control over the camera in 2-player from what I can tell.
So I have a very, very weird question for you.
Imagine that.
Is the Marvel Ultimate Alliance game 2-player with multiple systems?
Yes. There are 3 multiplayer options. There's using the same console and then using a couple of controllers, using it online, and then using it local but with multiple Switch systems like LAN play.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And do you know if when you are playing online or when you are playing with like multiple devices, does it focus on all of the characters still, or does it just focus on your character that you're playing as?
I don't know because I haven't played that style yet at all. I've only played same system 2 people. I would have to assume that first style, those 2 styles that you were talking about, that it only focuses on your character and you have full control over everything.
I would hope so.
I really can't imagine that they would only use one camera. But hey, anybody out there that knows, just let us know.
Yeah, I need to look into that. I'm asking for a friend.
So, of course, been playing that with my husband Cliff. You guys can watch and listen to the 2 of us playing this game on our YouTube channel, which I am debuting right here, right now. Nintendo Everything Podcast exclusive. Pew, 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 pew. Dab, dab, dab. Yeah, yeah, oh. Our YouTube channel is going to be called Game Married, and game is spelled Gayme, Game Married, on YouTube. I will have links in the description because when you're brand new on YouTube, your channel doesn't show up if you search for it. It's really annoying.
It is very hard.
Yeah.
To do that.
It's almost like YouTube doesn't want to encourage new creators or small creators. They only want to encourage vapid wannabe celebrity vloggers. Anyway, it's fine. I'm not trying to be a successful YouTuber or anything. I'm doing this for fun. Anyway.
Do you have any videos out yet?
I'm going to upload them. That way they are live at the time that this episode goes live. And then you all can watch several different videos. I'm going to have a couple of videos out on launch day. I don't know what to call this.
Yeah.
So I'll have several different
launch
videos.
Day works.
Okay. I will have several different videos out for you to watch, and then we are going to try and upload 1 video per day. It's kind of a lofty goal, but it seems kind of doable. We were doing the math on all that. You laugh at me, I know.
I laugh because I've been there.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's all for fun anyway, so if we don't hit that goal, we don't hit that goal. But just letting you know, as a listener, as a potential interest, that's what you're going to get if you subscribe to our channel. And a little bit about us. We are husband and husband duo, Oni, Dino, and Clifton Roy, plus our cat, Boo. Cliff is a musician, and you already know I'm a Japanese translator. We're both creative types. We both play games, talk about pop culture and comics and society, sexuality, all the good ones, all the hits. And we're going to keep positive on the show. It is our goal to brighten your day and to have fun. It's real chill.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see your episodes.
Thank you. You can go to YouTube and check out Game Married, Gayme Married, and links in the description, yada, yada, yada.
Awesome.
Thank you! Love you guys!
So the big topic this week for Nintendo news is obviously the Joy-Con problems.
This has been going on for a little while. It's been interesting watching this one develop.
Yeah, so let's start it off here. People are talking about Joy-Con drift. What is Joy-Con drift?
It is the sequel to Too Fast 2 Joy-Con.
Then it should be Joy-Con 2 Electric Driftaloo?
Nintendo Boogaloo.
Yeah, Nintendo Boogaloo. So after prolonged use of the Joy-Con's analog sticks, some gamers have been having issues where the control stick is drifting to one direction without the stick being touched. You can test this out by going to the calibration setting and watching the input slowly drift on its own if you suspect your Joy-Con is having the issue. I have already had drift on 2 of mine now. Both of them are the left and the right ones that I got when I first bought the system at launch. How about you, Galen? Have you had any issue with this on any of your controllers?
Believe it or not on the Joy-Cons, but I have a PlayStation controller that has been having this problem.
Oh.
And that's actually just recently that it's been doing that too, so.
Okay. So, before we get into this, I want to put out a little disclaimer. Something that is important to note here is that, though it seems like it, this hasn't been a widespread issue anywhere near something like, say, the Xbox 360's Red Ring of Death. And I'm not trying to, like, incite a flame war or 360 is worse than... I don't even know. Whatever people think. I'm just trying to be realistic here. That 360 issue affected something crazy, like 1 in 3 consoles, or maybe even worse. So, so far, from what little reports I've been able to find online about Joy-Con drift, it seems to be below the 1% mark for consoles. And, I mean, that's not conclusive by any means, that's not good by any means, but I just want to throw those figures out there just to be realistic about things before we get into it.
And also when you're dealing with stuff like this, you have to take a broad look at the number of units that have actually been sold, compare that to how many units are actually having a problem.
Yeah, but we don't have the data on that. But
Exactly. That's the thing. And that kind of data is also really, really hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
Because, some people are experiencing it and they just think, oh, well, I can deal with this. It's not that bad. And some people are, they think they're experiencing it, but it has another underlying issue. Like it was miscalibrated somehow and they just didn't want to do the steps to try to troubleshoot and fix it.
Or they just didn't know it.
Exactly. This entire thing, I feel, is more of Google Trends kind of picked up on this article that somebody put out about Joy-Con drift, and then it got a bunch of attention, and now it's getting a lot more attention than it actually needs.
No. Let's go into why this is on the tip of tongue of what? On the tip of everyone's tongue recently. Here's how the flow went very recently in the last week and a half or so. So Kotaku published a very in-depth article that I haven't read yet. I'm busy. On the subject of Joy-Con drift. It was an investigative piece, so I assume their investigative pieces are usually pretty good, so I assume they went through a lot of due diligence on that. Then, a US law firm filed a class action lawsuit against Nintendo of America on Joy-Con drifting.
The law firm Schmeichel, Schwartz, Kreiner, and Donaldson-Smith.
I actually was going to name them, and I was like, never mind, I have no idea how to pronounce that first last name. So, next, Nintendo made sort of a non-response to The Verge after they reached out to Nintendo, and Nintendo said that they take pride in their products and they encourage anyone having issues to contact customer support, yada yada yada, not a response, Then, after that, I think it was the next day, Vice Games got in touch with a source familiar with Nintendo's updated customer support documentation. And allegedly, keyword here, allegedly, a portion of the internal customer service memo states as follows. Quote, customers will no longer be requested to provide proof of purchase for Joy-Con repairs. Additionally, it is not necessary to confirm warranty status. If a customer requests a refund for a previously paid Joy-Con repair, confirm the prior repair and then issue a refund. End quote. And then, most recently, at the time of recording this podcast, the final update is that this customer service action is not in place yet. We at least have confirmations, particularly in France and the UK. So that's kind of the timeline of things. My thoughts on this is that the consumers are jumping the gun on this. The info that Vice Games provided was more of an internal memo leak, and it was all alleged, right? And it's an internal process. Internal processes like this, especially for big corporations, do take time to actually go into effect. has to touch a lot of hands and get approval from a lot of levels of management in subsidiaries and the parent company. It's not going to change overnight.
Yeah.
Galen, do you have any thoughts on the news lately in particular?
Well, as far as the news goes, I think it's just like, this is a situation where there's too much information. Like, I honestly think that in too much information in the sense of it's hard to focus on what is important and what is just clickbait, in a sense. Okay. Because I have been seeing the topic of Joy-Con drift come out more and more and more and more over the past, I want to say about 3 weeks or so. And it's like, I have not heard anybody complaining about this issue until recently, and now I feel like it is all anybody who is in the Nintendo scene wants to try to talk about or wants to try to comment on.
Possibly, but I mean, we don't have any like hard facts on that. It's just kind of, that's more of a feeling, you know, that you have, which is fine. That's totally valid, but I'm just kind of trying to throw a logical spin on that too.
Well, and that's the thing, like, if somebody would come out and say, hey, we've done the math, you know, Nintendo has made a statement, or through some third-party investigation or anything like that, we can see that 1% of all Joy-Cons are having this issue, or we have over 300,000 that are experiencing this issue out of the 8 million that we've sold so far. It's just something to go along this to back up this claim, other than, hey, some people are having this problem.
Yeah, I don't think though that information is going to come out so easily. Consumers are going to try and figure that out, but it is like, I mean, how do you even gauge that? Do you gauge the report based on complaints on forums and Reddit and stuff, you know? And then Nintendo themselves, especially now, will not come out with any data, I don't think. Just because a lawsuit was filed against them, right? So regardless, you are better off saying absolutely nothing right now, while internally and behind closed doors, you work this out and you get your own data and stuff. There is like next to no upside to making some sort of statement about numbers or whatever.
Yeah.
People just need to remember that stuff takes time, you know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, when people are like, screw you, Nintendo, how dare you, not doing it in France and the UK, like, I don't even know. Just when people get so upset about things like this, is like, there is a process to a whole bunch of this. Like, I understand being critical and being cynical of big companies, totally there with you. I will high five you all day on that. But
yeah,
I don't know, be realistic. At least be realistic when you complain about shit, otherwise nobody cares. Like, no one's gonna listen.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to do, and I guess this is kind of an additional DLC in a sense. We're jumping a bit ahead early on this.
That's why I'm the host.
I know, but bear with me. I was kind of curious about like what makes up the Joy-Con, what could possibly be going bad in the unit and things like that. So I found a video of somebody who was actually tearing apart the Joy-Con itself and kind of addressing this issue, specifically like, why do controllers drift, or why specifically the Joy-Con does. And he does a really good job explaining all the parts that go into the actual thumbstick portion of it. Like, there's an actual control board inside, and the way that it registers like what direction you're tilting the controller in is based on the connection that, like, when you tilt up the controller, it puts tension on some springs and some things on the side of the controller itself. And that pushes up against a contact pad, which registers the tension of how far up are you pushing it, how far to the left, or so on and so forth. But the material that they use, and they compared like an often used one versus one that was brand new out of the box, and you could definitely see that there was a little bit of wear and tear on the actual contacts of the one that was used more frequently. So their theory was that it has something to do with the material that they used to make that connection point was starting to wear off through friction or something like that, but that could possibly be causing the issue that people are seeing right now. Really interesting issue. If you do want to throw out an opinion on just the drift thing in general, I highly recommend checking this video out just so you have some more information before you start giving your opinion on it.
Yeah, always being informed is words to live by. And
Yeah.
sort of speaking about that too, I would love to hear from our listeners what kind of issues have you had with your Switch? Have you had any on the Joy-Con side of things? Like me personally, I've had 2 Joy-Con problems. Like, I'm annoyed that these expensive controllers have given me a problem for sure. I haven't had any
Yeah.
issue with any of my Nintendo hardware I've purchased in my life. I've only had the Joy-Con problems.
You know, that's kind of interesting because I actually have had problems with both the Game Boy Advances and the 3DSs in the past, specifically in the L and R buttons. And
Oh, that's right. I remember that about...
Yeah, like the contacts on them just would not go after some time.
Yeah, so why don't you explain what happened to your 3DS, your limited edition Zelda one?
My very pretty black and gold original 3DS Legend of Zelda one.
For a game that you still have not beaten. I'll never let you live it down until you just beat the damn game.
I would not expect you to. Loved the 3DS, used it way more than I expected that I would, especially for a handheld console, but it became one of those units that it was really fun to lay down in bed and just play until it gets way too late at night.
Yep.
But after about, I want to say, 3, maybe 4 years or so? I remember the last game that I was really playing on it was, before I upgraded, was the Fire Emblem...
Awakening?
Yes, that's the one.
Fire Emblem Kakse.
Because I remember after that I upgraded to a 3DS XL, and I remember specifically the screen difference between the two being a surprise to me.
But your L and R buttons...
Yeah, after a while, just the L and the R buttons just would not work. And what I would have to do, I tried cleaning it out with canned air. I tried pushing a little bit harder on the button to see if it was like a connection issue that way. And what I ended up having to do was the frickin' blow into it like an NES cartridge thing, which is
You
super
should have
not
said
good
blow
for
into it like an ocarina. It was a Zelda edition 3DS.
Trust me, no music was coming out of that thing. But yeah, just the buttons would not work on it. And I, to this day, believe that it had a lot to do with me just carrying it around in my pocket. And
the wear on that?
Just the wear on it, and also like the dust and the lint and things like that, which, you know, over time just somehow like worm its way in through those little crevices.
Interesting.
Because the same exact thing happened with both my original Game Boy Advance as well as my Game Boy Advance SP.
You got dirty pockets.
And I mean, I guess.
If you got dirty pockets, it means you got dirty money too.
Granted, I wouldn't be able to put it in my pocket, but that's why anytime that I ever do take my Switch anywhere, I always put it in the carrying case instead of just like popping it in unprotected into like my bag or something like that, because I don't want anything in there.
You always protection on your
Always
Switch.
use protection.
Always protection. You know, I do, as you were talking about that, I do have to amend my previous statement. I have had one problem that I can think of with Nintendo hardware, and that's my current 3DS XL, the limited edition Majora's Mask one. I got it when Majora's Mask came out, and but the battery on it does not hold a charge very well at all. And I'm not somebody that like leaves their and I'm not somebody that like leaves their stuff on charge all the time too, because that'll, you know, kill a battery. But for whatever reason, it was kind of a dud battery. And you know, the thing that I want to point out with us bringing up all these other issues too, and like your PS4 controller drifting, is that hardware issues do happen. Hardware failure does happen. Especially with launch edition consoles, that is way more likely. But we do need to know if this Joy-Con drift issue is something that is big enough that it is a problem. Personally speaking here, I think that it could be. I think it might be. But how much of that is anecdotal to me, right? Because I have had 2 Joy-Cons fail on me. But
exactly,
it's so hard to tell, so I hope that it gets looked into, and personally, I hope that Nintendo like gives free
Joy-Cons for everybody.
Not free Joy-Cons, they're not the Oprah of Joy-Con, okay? I hope that they do free repairs, because I want them to, like, of course I don't want to take the hit for a controller failing on me within 2 years, but I want them to take the financial hit on it because that is like the only thing that speaks to a corporation on lighting the fire under their ass to fix their controller problems and make a better product.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to see. But I don't know. You know, I could go either way with this. I'm certainly not one of those people that's like, no, I know the facts because I feel this. You know, that's what you got to remember is,
yeah.
You know, just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean that that's the way it is.
Well, and I definitely don't think this is going to be the last we're going to hear about this. We're
No.
definitely, this is a story we're definitely going to get a resolution on. It's just going to take a little while to get to that point.
Yeah. We're going to get more Joy-Con and Furious with Kyoto Drift.
Joy-Con 3, Joy-Con harder.
The joy and the con.
Last Joy-Con hero.
Infinity Joy... Whatever.
Joy-Con Story 4. Now in theaters. Starring Tom Hanks.
I'm that image of Jackie Chan right now where he's like, my mind is full of fuck. So now we're gonna hit you with some fast-paced news, like a big old machine gun, like a Gatling gun, just in your face. Okay. So very brief, Mario Maker 2's course limit has been increased to 64, that magical number, and it will get one more increase. They didn't say when, but sometime in the future.
Mm-hmm.
This is a complaint that both Galen and I had when we covered Mario Maker several weeks back, so it is good to see this being addressed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm actually wondering if this was planned from the very beginning in a way to, like, gauge how long it would take and how much server space they actually needed to make room for. Because if they started early on, they're like, hey, you can have 32 levels to begin with. Let's see how popular this game is. And then after they see the initial sales figures and like, oh, okay, so they'll probably want about this much. And then they'll just like space out the upgrades over time.
I'm sort of in the same boat as you with wondering if this was planned ahead of time. I do wonder if they were doing that to sort of curb people from just being overly excited with a brand new product and being like, level, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But who knows?
Also, if you think about it, this is also a really good way to do quality control too, because you figure when the game first comes out, everybody's going to want to post a level. Everybody's going to want to try to get their thing on there. And, you know, some of those levels just are not good.
Yeah.
So...
I was watching our homeboy who works at Nintendo Everything as a reviewer, Lionheart, on Twitch, as I was doing something the other day, and he was playing some levels, and he was like, on several levels, he was like, that was not good. Like, these are not fun levels. And then other levels, they're great. But there's so many ones, not good.
But, I mean, you figure that now that hype has kind of, not necessarily died down on it, but it's the initial impact or the initial push for, oh my god, I gotta get my level out as soon as possible. The people who want to put up more than 32 levels are the ones who want to start making more quality levels and put more time into it.
Yeah,
so,
hopefully.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is more of like a server restriction or spacing thing. How much of this is quality control? Like, it makes more sense to me what they were doing from the beginning. So,
Anyway, it is good news. I always love it when corporations listen to consumers' complaints, as long as they're a logical complaint. So, good news.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Very nice. Very cool.
Next, Fire Emblem Three Houses has been getting good reviews. As at the time of this podcast airing, Three Houses will be out, and so we're just seeing some reviews. Pretty much good across the board. I'm talking like 9s, 9.5s almost everywhere. The lowest score I saw was 8 out of 10, and that was the outlier.
IGN still thinks there's too much water, so it got a point knocked down for that.
Personally, I don't listen to reviews very much just because they don't kind of resonate with me. I like to listen to what people have to say about games and their insight on the design. There's lots of things that they don't like that I would like, or they overlook that I would love to appreciate, but I don't look
Yeah.
at numbers. I don't like numbers at all for reviews. I think that it is horrible, and I think that that's just like what people want, because like whatever the reviewer's 9 is, then the listener is like, oh, it's a 9 in my head, but like your 9 and my 9 are totally different things. You know what I mean? Like sometimes
Yeah.
games will be reviewed as a 7 out of 10, and then people are like, oh my god, it's crap, oh, it's not worth buying, I'm gonna hold off on that. And it's like, what are all the other numbers for then, god damn it? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to hear better criticism. I want to hear criticism of media. I don't want to hear freaking numbers. That is the most like lowbrow, watered down garbage ever.
Yeah.
Personally speaking.
There definitely is a lack of objectivism when it comes to a lot of these bigger review sites when they go ahead and post these things. Like, I instantly don't really trust any reviews that are put out before the game is even launched.
Why?
Just as a general rule of thumb, that people are trying to get this out as quickly as possible and not engrossing themselves in the experience of the game itself. They're going on, what is this experience? Why is this so good? I've seen it happen way too many times with way too many games out there. There's like, hey, this game is absolutely fantastic, and then there was no like substance, or it was very negatively reviewed by like the general public when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean,
not to say that's going to happen with this game by any means.
I mean, that certainly is a problem that we have seen in reviews before, where the review is supposed to come out with the embargo lifting just before launch. We've seen stuff like that, like, oh, the Resident Evil 2 remake, that was a big kerfuffle. I can't remember if it was IGN or GameSpot or so I'm not demonizing any of those outlets, but the person that reviewed it only played through the first campaign, and then they criticized because they chose like the wrong thing. When you go to like a second campaign, they just chose like Claire in the first scenario, and they were like, oh, it's the same thing, just like with very little changes, but actually the second scenario is very different. And so
it's very different.
Yeah, so and what's funny is that is a holdover from the original game from like 97, so the reviewer just was not knowledgeable about this particular game. Perhaps there was probably a better reviewer on the team to review that game, and they just didn't follow through with it. Anyway, not going into that. We can talk about that another time. We got other stuff to talk about. But I mean, we have seen that before, but I do want to raise an objection to what you're saying about reviews that come out before the game, because it kind of depends on, are you overloading that reviewer with too many games?
Oh, absolutely. Is
your reviewer knowledgeable and fit for this particular game to review? For example, with Nintendo Everything, we always talk, well, I mean, I'm not a reviewer, but I mean, they always talk amongst themselves about who would be better fit for a project. There's been like, oh, okay, say Final Fantasy 12, just as an example. We've got a code for this to review it. Who wants to review it? And then somebody will speak up and be like, I played that game before, I hated it, so I am not going to review it, because otherwise I'm just going to have a confirmation bias when I play the game, and it's not going to be a good review. It's not going to be objective. So we try to do the best that we can, obviously. I'm not saying that we're the best or anything, but I'm saying that like perhaps some outlets don't have that luxury, and they're kind of just throwing it in there at whomever.
No, I definitely understand what you're saying when it comes to that.
So I wouldn't have that same thought as you do about not trusting a review that comes out before the game is out.
Yeah. Well, and I'm also thinking of, I'm trying to remember what the actual reviewer journalist who came out with it, but a couple years ago when Cuphead came out. And
that's staying in.
Cuphouse. When Cuphead came out, and you had the reviewer who was trying to play through the game, and he was recording his footage and kind of showing it, and the guy couldn't even do like a dash jump over the corner and to get through like the tutorial part of the game. He actually used that as an example that kind of colored his entire view on the game itself.
It's hard, because also the other thing, peeling back the curtain on a lot of work in video game journalism, a lot of work is done pro bono. which means that because so many people want to enter the field and a lot of larger companies, I don't say that they are, I'm just going to say that perhaps they are, and just say from my personal experience with, secondhand information, that sometimes they are getting pro bono, and their payment is basically, oh, well, you're getting to play the game.
Yeah.
It's like, guess what? I can't eat. So anyway, there's a lot of problems when it comes to things like reviewing and putting out simple news articles and stuff like that. Investigative journalism, it's obvious when certain things like that are different in terms of quality. I mean, check out that additional DLC that I recommended last week. That's a fantastic listen about media literacy in games journalism.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, we went all over the place on that one. We were trying to talk about Fire Emblem.
No, absolutely. Speaking of which, one point that we haven't mentioned yet is that they are also coming out with a harder difficulty mode pretty soon after launch, if not like day of launch.
It's not day of launch, but it is coming out shortly after launch. They're releasing Lunatic difficulty, which is the standard difficulty for some very hardcore veteran players of this series. So that is great to hear.
Yeah.
That came out of Famitsu's dev interview.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with another translator here at NE to translate Famitsu's interview, so it should be up by the time this podcast airs, so do check it out on our website. I found it thoroughly interesting. They even reveal the meaning behind the Japanese name, the Japanese title. Moving on. Weird flex on this one. There is a Disney Tsum Tsum Festival Switch bundle. Limited edition Switch bundle for Japan.
Okay.
Weird flex on that one, but oh my god, it is beautiful. I love it so much.
It has purple. I'm looking at a picture right now. It's got purple and pink controllers with little Mickey Mouse ears like all over it. The power button is a freaking Mickey head.
Yeah. I think it's my favorite limited edition design bundle yet, because it's also got like a monochrome pattern on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that pattern, they said on the article, what do I want to say? It is
a Kingdom Hearts 3 Achievement Hunter's wet dream.
No. Ugh. Terrible you. The pattern on it is kind of invisible until the light hits it at the right angle. So it's not just like a flat white color. So that's also a really nice detail to it as well.
That is really cool.
Yeah. I love it.
And then I was reading up a little bit about this. So the bundle is actually pretty cool because it actually comes with the game, and it also comes with like a DLC costume code to use in the game itself. And that's really neat. Like, we have not seen a lot of game in bundle versions of the Switch. Like the biggest one that I can really think of is Smash Bros.
They did Let's Go bundles, and they also did Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate and Diablo 3. I'm sure there was more than that, but those ones I do recall with all those games. But it's beautiful, and those DLC packs or DLC codes, those are not exclusive to the Switch bundle, I believe. Those are also coming along with the game as long as you purchase the game before sometime in January of 2020.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
but you do
good.
get it with the bundle.
So it's like those day one editions that come with the code inside of it that we've been seeing the past couple of years.
Yeah, kind of like that, but it's a little bit more generous than just that. Just to encourage people to buy it ahead of time, which, it's a marketing ploy.
Yeah. It is also worth noting that this is going to be the newer model of the Switch, so it will have a longer battery.
Yeah.
Oni, I do have one question for you.
No. What is it?
What the hell is a Tsum Tsum? I still don't know.
Bless you? It's the little stackables, the little Disney cute stackables. They're real popular in Japan.
I guess when we go to Japan later, you can point them out to me.
Yeah. Also, that game, I played it at E3, surprisingly fun. I was
Really?
shocked. Yeah.
All right.
Actually, real good. Lots of variety in the mini games and stuff, and it's not a full price game either. So, yeah. Do give this one, don't sleep on it. Like, do give that one a second look.
All right.
And then again, moving on, very brief. Darksiders Genesis. I almost call it Darkstalkers every time.
I think you called it Darkstalkers earlier.
Did I?
Yeah, I think you did.
Jesus Christ. This series, and it's a series that I like, it has been out for years, and I still call it Darkstalkers. And Darkstalkers has been not around for years. That's just how much I love vampires, okay? I'm telling you, like, gay people that grew up in the early 90s, they love X-Men and Darkstalkers. No, shoot, I mean vampires. There's moral overtones and like parallels in the story between the queerness. Anyway, Darksiders Genesis coming out with 2 super pricey collector's editions.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna look at some information because I was told about this at E3 from Airship Syndicate, but we weren't sure if this was gonna come to the Switch yet or not. So now it's confirmed it is coming to the Switch, because Western video games oftentimes don't get their limited edition on Nintendo consoles. We've seen that before. So we're so happy to be proven wrong. There is the standard game, which is like $40 USD, and then the collector's edition. Let me just pull this up. What this stupid thing comes with? I shouldn't call it stupid.
I actually have it up.
Go ahead. What comes in the collector's edition, Galen?
So the collector's edition, which I looked up the Amazon prices for the US store, come up to $119.99 on pre-order. Includes the game, a steelbook case, a 9-inch figure, which is a statue that comes with it.
Yep.
It comes with an art book, a soundtrack, and also stickers that you can put. Stickers are cool. I like stickers.
As God, who was it? Was it Tyler that said this? Or maybe it was Tim. When we had Something Classic, the devs from Something Classic came on.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, I have these stickers. I don't know what to do." And Tim was like,
"Throw them in the trash."
No, he was like, "Why did you ruined the joke, you bitch?" He said, "Take your stickers, put them on a piece of paper, and then throw it in the trash." That would have been funnier if you hadn't ruined the joke.
Well, that's what good editing is for.
No, I'm gonna leave it in. I don't want to do any more editing. I'm tired. I would be super interested to have that art book. I love the art of Darksiders. God damn, it's so hard to do that.
Golf clap.
Thank you. I met with Joe Madureira at E3 and interviewed him, and he's such a fascinating, excitable person. And he's done lots of work for like Marvel Comics, and he did a lot of the coloring for some X-Men comics. He did the designs. He created Darksiders in the first place, and then he formed Airship Syndicate. He's a fascinating dude. So I'd be really, really excited to have that art book. But it's in this really expensive collector's edition that I am not going to buy. But I get some people like it. It's got a gigantic freaking figure in there that I don't want. I don't need more figures in my house. I already have stupid amiibo that I'm already like, why do I have them? I'm staring at them right now. But the real discussion here is, I mean, there's not a discussion, whatever, is the Nephilim edition.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to have all those things plus the board game, right?
Yes. So the retail price is $379.99 on pre-order in the States. And oh my God, is that a lot of money?
That's one big man, baby.
That is so much money. And it comes with everything that the collector's edition does. The game, the case, the figure, the art book, soundtrack, even the stickers. It also includes the limited edition Darksiders The Forbidden Land board game.
Mm-hmm. And then, from what we know from Airship Syndicate, that is the only way to get this board game.
Mm-hmm.
This is not going to be sold separately or anything, so, I mean, it makes sense, and it is highly limited. If I recall correctly from what the guy told me, there's like 5,000 copies?
Copies?
And those
Come and get your company right over here.
shut your mouth. Those 5,000 are across all platforms. So it's not
That
5,000
is
for Switch,
crazy.
5,000 for PC. That's it. So, I mean,
And
I
that-
think there's a market for this of people that just want to spend that crazy amount of money.
That is absolutely crazy, even with that being said. Because, I mean, if the game is popular enough, I would not be surprised if they do come out with this later at some point. But, I mean, it's $260 more than the collector's edition.
Yeah,
It is-
it's a lot.
It is literally over 3 times as much.
But I do want to say, and of course, I'm not going to buy this. This isn't for me or anything like that. But I do want to say that board game does have a ton of different things in it and a ton of different figures in it as well. It is a premium.
It really does.
Yeah, it is a premium board game. I'm gonna have to go over some of the information. They gave me some literature on it at E3, and maybe we'll make a post about it in the future. We'll see if there's even much to talk about it in there. But it is a premium board game. It's not like it's not like Clue. By the way, I love Clue. It's like my favorite board game ever.
I do have the stats that are on the promo thing in front of me right now, and 61 different miniatures, along with tokens, what they're calling a multi-hex modular board, which that is actually pretty enticing. That's interesting to me.
It sounds like a fantastic board game.
Yeah, 4-player boards, a custom dice, a campaign book, which that is really interesting to me. I'm wondering, like, reading this is getting me interested as a board game player, and
Of course.
you know how much of a board game player
Loser.
I am.
I mean, board game player, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can create your own campaigns, or
1v1 me in the library with a candlestick, bro.
well, actually, you can play this as a single person. Like, you alone can play this by yourself with that
And
campaign
that's really
book.
cool.
Yeah, I
That's
love
really
that.
cool.
So it is like a 1-2 6-player or whatever the hell board game.
And as somebody who does use miniatures when they play Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, 61 miniatures is a lot of miniatures, and those can definitely be used in other games too. So I can definitely understand why there would be a higher price for this, but still, $260 more. That is so much money.
But you know what? People hear limited edition and the whales come swimming in. They come
Yeah.
swimming with bags of cash.
Yeah.
Look at mobile games. It's the same mentality.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That said, Darksiders is a high-quality series in general. The art is amazing. The character designs are great. I love that series. So it's not trash.
Yeah.
This isn't like Omega Labyrinth Booby of the New Moon Bride tits with the jiggly mouse pad that's $100 extra or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which, whatever, if you're into those games, you're into those games. I played the hell out of Knights of Azure 2, which, by the way, I saw is on sale in the North American eShop for like $30-something. I think it's about worth that price. So if anybody was interested in that, hearing about that game, and lesbians and having a wife and everything, yeah, it's not bad. As long as you can handle the jank, as long as you know there's jank, you can be a lesbian. If you dream.
What? Wait.
We're talking about Knights of Azure 2. This podcast is off the rails, Galen. Let's move on.
Exactly. Oh man, I do remember like one of the first episodes that we were recording together. We were talking about, it was like a Dead or Alive beach volleyball game or something like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I had so many notes and I was ready to just go to town ripping that game apart, and the subject never came up.
Yeah. I mean, peeling back the curtain here, we have to like move things around sometimes, but yeah, we weren't able to talk about that. So yeah, maybe we'll bring that up on like a slow news week sometime in the future.
I might have to dust off those old notes.
So very super brief, Nintendo and Tencent are going to hold a press conference in Shanghai on August 2nd to talk about the Switch being launched in mainland China. No more information than that, but I just wanted to throw it out here because we'll be talking about it by next week. August 2nd is like, I don't know, Thursday or something like that. So
Oh yeah, most definitely.
yeah, that'll be coming up because That's going to be big for the Nintendo growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh, August 2nd is Friday, so we'll have to do like a last minute update.
Don't tell people when we record. Now moving on to Pokemon Masters. This is the new mobile game that the Pokemon Company is making in collaboration with DNA. We got a ton of information about it this week. They launched a bunch of different videos that are informational, which is really cool. Did you check any of this out, Galen?
I have been casually keeping up with it. I know that this is going to be a big thing, especially when it initially launches, but to be completely honest, I am having a hard time getting as excited
PP up?
about this. Yeah. Nice callback on that one.
Callback. Oh, roasted you twice in a row. Dab, dab, dab.
Yeah, don't you have a YouTube Let's Play channel to go to?
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Maybe it's not up to you.
No, I'm having a harder time getting excited about this one.
Yeah.
Than some of the other Nintendo properties.
They do have quite a few Pokemon games out on mobile. I think it's because it's been so crazy successful, and that Pokemon is a good fit for mobile in terms of its broad appeal.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're putting a lot in that mobile market. I think that if the Pokemon Company weren't primarily Nintendo owned, what do I say, the majority share, I think that Game Freak would have made Pokemon Go mobile solely a bit ago. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, talking about Pokemon Masters, what information did we get this week? We got information that trainers partner with a Pokemon. You train them to get stronger, and then my mind is thinking microtransaction. You earn rewards and do daily missions. My mind is like microtransaction. And then you level up, you learn new moves. It sounds exhausting to me.
Yeah.
But it's all about the trainer and the Pokemon connection.
What I have been hearing is that while there are microtransactions, the only microtransaction that is in there is for getting gems, whatever currency that is used for. But gems can be used through the game, like they can be accumulated and acquired normally.
Yeah, of course.
There is a time limit, though. You are only allowed, like, I think they said 3 matches a day or something like that.
Yeah,
which
yeah. And then you can
very
probably
weird.
restore your stamina with a elixir PP upper, and then you use your gems to buy more PP uppers. It's just like real life. It parallels real life, I'll tell you what. So the mechanics in this game we learned is 3v3, and it is all done in real time. Your move gauge fills up over time, and then your team shares the move gauge as well. So that requires some strategy. That was interesting to hear. And then trainers themselves even have their own moves, where they can provide support to other characters or whatever. There is a limit, however, to how often the trainers can use their moves. My brain is going microtransactions. And then there are also sync moves between trainers and Pokemon, which is basically like a special move, a super crazy powerful one.
Okay. Pokemon has been focusing very much on that epic battle moment the past couple of games. I mean, we've seen them in Z moves, we've seen them in Mega Evolutions. I mean,
Right.
they've really been focusing on that almost tropish anime appeal of, this is my ultimate move. Now you must face my final form.
Yeah. I mean, it's effective, but also they're
Go
wearing...
Mega Meowth.
Mega Meowth would probably be terrifying. If that's the only trick that you're playing, then it's like, come on, do something different. And you know, something I just thought about with like Sword and Shield being like, oh, okay, you can't bring all the Pokemon into it just yet, which we'll talk a little bit about that more later on in the show, which is hopefully soon because holy crap, it's already over an hour. Make some huge changes in Sword and Shield, you know what I mean? Kind of going back to what I was saying before about make it really impressive, like make it so that way the battle system is very different moving forward from here. Make it a reason to be like, okay, we have to kind of cut certain things from here because the battle system moving forward is going to be totally different. It's going to be more like an RPG rather than a one-on-one with only 4 moves, or I don't know, just throwing out little ideas there. Just, I don't know.
I'm telling you, grid-based battle system.
That's going to be a spin-off, and I would love to see that spin-off.
I would play that spin-off.
Yeah. Speaking of spin-offs, Pokemon Masters 3v3 real-time battle. There's going to be single player. There's also going to be co-op. All these different battle roles that the trainer is going to have. There's strike roles, support, and tech roles. Strike is obviously attacking. Support, they have higher HP and they can buff their allies. And then tech support works on tech support. God, tech roles.
They tell you to turn the game off and on again.
Yeah. Tech roles work on debuffs. So there's a whole mix and match mechanic to, like, you could have 2 debuffers and 1 attacker. That kind of stuff is cool. That's kind of tried and true.
Okay.
I like that this game is different, and I do applaud it for that, but it's a microtransaction phone game, so I don't care. I'm trying not to be, like, super negative on it, but, like, manipulating the player into spending microtransactions is a part of the gameplay design.
Well, and I would also caution against that for now, just because we haven't actually seen a whole lot of the game itself. Like,
yeah, but I mean, I think we can safely assume that. But you are correct. You are totally correct. I am being very cynical right now.
yeah. So there. I kind of believe that they might be a little bit more reserved with microtransactions on this one. I think they want to try something a little bit different because Nintendo is in that they're kind of exploring how they want to do mobile games going forward. I still don't feel they've, like, tightened down their formula just yet.
But this is the Pokemon company we're talking about. That's kind of separate from Nintendo's mobile efforts.
I mean,
the way they operate, the way they've operated their games so far.
True. But I mean, the stat that I learned that they only have 1 form of microtransactions in the thing, and from what I understand, those gems are mainly used for just strengthening your Pokemon, not getting extra battles or anything like that. So
we also learned that the antagonist in this game is Team Break. I don't know anything else about them. There's like a little graphic that shows 3 of the character designs. They look like Pokemon evil trainer guys.
Hey, we know they are known to steal Pokemon. And that's it. Nothing else.
Meowth. That's right.
Mega Meowth.
So this game launches August 29th, and pre-registration is open right now. I don't know exactly which territories that is, so I don't know. Check it out on your local territory to see if it's ready for pre-reg or not. Or don't, like me, because I do a big snooze on this one. I'm sorry I'm being cynical.
Gotta pre-reg them all.
So let's talk about some DLC. For me this week, I have a video from Stop Skeletons from Fighting. This is a video that they did about a week ago on motion controls on the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance. Stop Skeletons has a series called Punching Weight that they do, where they celebrate the weird, ambitious, and unnecessary. So, by definition, that means it's often Nintendo stuff. So in this one, they say all this different crap that I didn't even know existed, and all these interesting ways to play these games with motion controls in their like game card pack, including the original method, things like the GameCube Game Boy Advance adapter and like tilting the whole console itself to do the motion controls, link cables, emulation with Wiimotes, just all kinds of weird and quirky stuff like that. And if you're kind of odd like me, you probably really appreciate this kind of thing. So do check out Stop Skeletons from Fighting on YouTube.
Very cool. Very cool.
Very cool. So what do you have for DLC, Galen?
Well, I am going to give... do people still say trigger warning nowadays? I'm not sure if that's a thing. But I'm going to get a little bit more serious with my DLC today.
超シリアス.
So on July 18th in Fukushima, Kyoto, Japan, a man using store-bought gasoline set fire to the Kyoto Animation Studio. And This tragically took the lives of about 34 people who were working there and injured several more. Kyoto Animation, or KyoAni, is a Japanese anime studio that is responsible for a lot of works such as Full Metal Panic, Lucky Star, K-On!, and a lot more. Kyoto Animation has made a name for itself as an animation studio that prioritizes quality and storytelling over most. The loss of these 34 people and the injuries and overall effects of all those that are involved that day are already being felt worldwide. When I heard this, it kind of struck a chord with me in a way that I wasn't expecting. Something about hearing about such a strong source of good and the source of something that has impacted so strongly with so many people. It made me realize how fleeting the goodness is and can be in this world. It is important to never take good things for granted. I feel that the most important way to repay the unknowing kindness that is gifted to you is to tell the giver that what they do is noticed. This could be a teacher that you felt gave you attention that you needed in class. This could be a husband or a wife or just a partner who went out of their way to help you out without prompting. It could be a stranger who held the door open for you. Even something like a musician playing music on the street or in a cafe, and many people who perform acts of inspiration and kindness, in my opinion, when they really matter and they have the most impact, they don't always realize the gravity of what they're doing or how much of an impact they are making. So for my additional DLC, I've got 2 videos. One is from a guy that I discovered by the name of Giguk, and the video is simply titled, "Thank You, Kyoto Animation." The second one that I have it's actually an AMV, and it's from an artist named Crit Gem Hero. I feel that both of these videos, they both move and inspire and also relay the importance of what this studio meant for them and what they did for them. All in all, my additional DLC this week is just a message to everyone to be a little bit nicer, and in honor of those not with us, to spread your appreciation to those who mean the most to you.
Okay. Thanks, Galen.
Yep.
So let's lighten things up a bit by going on to our listener mail.
I did say the heavy stuff was coming later, so...
So I want to thank everyone for sending in so many great emails. If you have sent us an email, it will be read soon. We're just kind of going pretty much in order here.
Yeah, we've actually been getting a lot of emails lately. I've been really enjoying reading them all.
Good. Keep them coming. We read every single email that comes through.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you have a great question like some of these lovely folks we're about to talk about, please do write us in at nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
That email is nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
And your email might sound a little something like this.
First email we got is from Sammy. Hey, Sammy.
What up, Sammy?
Sammy writes in, "One of the things I love most about this podcast is Oni and Galen's close friendship. It's exactly how my friends and I joke around when we discuss video games. I was wondering how you two became friends. Was it over video games? Thank you for doing the podcast. Much love, from Sammy." Thanks, Sammy.
Thank you, Sammy. He's a good boy.
Absolutely.
So, I think that you remember a whole lot more about when we became friends. So why don't you start it off?
Yeah, so I first met you when we were in middle school. And
which is 6th grade for people who don't know what middle school is.
Yes. I remember we were in the same science class together, and we happened to get partnered up. It was
okay.
The two of us, and I believe there was also our third friend who also hung out with us for the longest time too.
Okay. I remember we had a lot of classes together, like math and science and English or something like that.
I think we had like maybe 2 the first year that we met. We definitely had more as time went on or so.
Okay.
But oddly enough, yeah, we first met because I don't remember who said it, but we got onto the topic of video games and specifically the PlayStation game Lunar Silver Star Story Complete.
That's the one.
Yep. And we were both playing it at the time, and we got engrossed in a conversation of like, who's your favorite character? What part of the story are you at? Do you remember that really cool with the white dragon? Yeah, that's so cool. And I remember, like, we kept talking back and forth during this project, and you also stabbed our other friend with a pencil, and he had to go to the nurse's office because
that's
the leg
right.
broke off on his hand.
Yep. I did stab him. Yes.
That definitely stuck out of my memory. That should have been a warning right there, but...
We are not friends anymore. But actually, like, many years later, we were still friends until afterward.
And then I remember I invited you over to hang out, or we had a sleepover or something like that on the weekend. And for me, it was a really big thing because I never really had friends to sleep over at my place before. So, like, this was really kind of cool for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we played video games, and then it was like I want to say it was one of the 007 movies. I want to say it was Tomorrow Never Dies. It was whatever the second one with Pierce Brosnan was. That had just come out.
Okay.
And we decided to watch that movie, and we got so bored with the movie that we started to, like, I don't know, we were like reenacting Final Fantasy scenes or something like that. It was super bizarre.
I don't remember any of this.
But yeah, I mean, after that, like, I would just invite you over another weekend, and then I would go over to your place, and then Pokemon came out, and we each got separate copies. And I remember I went over to your place, and we spent the entire night playing the game, trading our starter Pokemon to the other person, restarting the game, getting up to the point, picking a different starter, and kept repeating the process until we each had a complete set of starter Pokemon.
Oh, okay. I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
I also remember the morning after you got really mad at me because I accidentally swore in front of your mom.
Oh. How funny.
And you, like, that seed just, like, sat in you for, like, a month or something.
Yeah, okay, so I remember, though, that you had, like a bad, like, habit of swearing in front of, like, parental figures, whether it was, like, at school or something like that. It was just weird because, like, also when you swore, like, it came out so clearly too, so it wasn't like an accidental or like a whatever. It was just like you intended to say that, and so it was weird to me that it was like, why didn't you avoid that? What the hell, you know?
To this day, I do not remember that. I do not remember that at all.
What do you mean? You just brought it up.
No. I don't remember exactly what I said. I remember you being really mad at me, but I
it was
do
probably
not
the
remember
F
saying
word.
that actual thing. Well, and most of the swear words that I used were like, I don't know if I can say it, but I'll do it anyway. Just like shit or damn.
Yeah.
Like
Those
like
I don't
that.
think
Like,
I would have been upset about, but like
easier of them.
I just remember, like, when you would say it, it would be like, you know how sometimes you hear somebody, like, say something like, you know, oh, she's a bitch, but then, like, just the way somebody delivers something, and it's the same exact word, and it sounds so cruel. I remember the way you would deliver it would be, like, incredibly stinging. Which is really funny because, especially my mother instead of my father, like, my mother definitely doesn't care. So that's funny. I don't remember any of that. You remember so much.
I remember the weirdest things.
The only thing I remember is that we were in classes together, like science, and we got to talking about Lunar, and then I went over to your house, sometime in the future to play that game with you and for a sleepover. And I remember your house being particularly large because you also have a larger family.
Mm-hmm.
And just being like, whoa, this large house. That's about it. I remember your dog ran away once and we chased after, well, many more than times than once, but
Yeah.
I remember chasing after her with you around the neighborhood.
I had a brown husky that would escape through the door every single chance she could get.
She was such
And-
a sweet dog. She was the best. She was really,
Yeah.
really kind and never ever barked and just a lovely, chill dog, except for when she could get out and just run. She loved running.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, really, we stayed friends ever since then.
Yeah,
yeah. I remember it was like almost every weekend, if not every other weekend, you would come over to my place and we would like use my computer to build RPG Maker.
That
Like,
was
I
a
think
big thing, yeah.
I still think somewhere in like the deep corners of my hard drives, I have a copy of Silhouette Aeons. So
That was a story I was writing a long time ago. Yeah, I would always just write because, so it was really cool. Galen had a bunch of computers because his dad worked with computers in his job, so he had like several like leftover ones hanging around. We didn't have a computer in our house at all. Like, you have to remember, this was, God, what, mid-90s or something? So it wasn't common.
early enough that dial-up was still a thing in some cases.
Yeah. So, of course, we didn't have a computer, so it was so amazing that you just had one in your room. It didn't have internet, but you just had one in your room. So we would, like, get RPG Maker on it, and I would just, like, write stories on it and, like, write poetry and stuff, and we would just, like, hang out, like, doing nothing sometimes. We would just watch TV shows and like old tapes because you had a TV in your room, which was so cool, and but it didn't have like cable or anything. It was just like a VHS.
It was just a VHS player, and
Yeah.
I would go downstairs and I would record either The Simpsons or Whose Line Is It Anyway, back when they were
Right.
still shown on TV.
Yeah, the British one.
Yeah. No, it was the English one.
You had
or
the British
American
one also because I remember watching the British one and preferring it over the American one. You had both for sure.
You see, that surprises me because I didn't really have Comedy Network at the time, and I think that was the only channel that they actually showed that on.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. But anyway, I had these like compilation mix of VHS tapes that had like literally like 8 hours of Whose Line Is It Anyway.
We would just
And-
put that in and just watch it and just like hang out and like do others. Like that was background noise to us talking about games or I don't know, just being creative.
Yeah. And then right after I had finished middle school, the summer between middle school and high school,
Oh yeah.
I actually moved. I moved to Washington State.
Mhm.
And I remember I was like devastated at the time. Like I did
Of
not
course.
want to move away from all my friends or whatnot.
When you're that young, you don't have the folds in your brain. Like literally, your brain isn't fully formed to understand
Exactly.
time. So like, it is the most devastating, terrifying thing. And
Mm.
for as like sad as it was for me at that time, I can't imagine how much more sad it was for you too.
Yeah. I mean, to my surprise, like we stayed great friends after that. Like you
Yeah.
would come out like almost every other summer or so to visit.
No,
Like,
every summer.
Yeah.
I went out literally every summer and stayed with you for like a month, 3
Mhm.
weeks, whatever.
And then I would fly back on like alternating years or something like that. So
I only remember you coming back like once.
Hmm.
But that was fine because it was much more exciting to go out and visit you anyway. So, and that's how Seattle became, I guess, my third home. Well, now it's my fourth home. So I don't know, whatever. I really love Seattle.
You've got a couple of homes.
Yeah, so it's just high up on my list, and it's thanks to you living outside of Seattle, and then we would go there sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a long history of being friends together.
But yeah, like incredibly long history. You know what I think was really cool was like when we were really younger, we would joke back and forth about how someday we should get like an apartment together or something. And then this was like before I even moved away or anything like that. And then sure enough, like 10 years later or so, I was having like an early life crisis, if you can call it. Like, I was like just out of college and asking myself, what am I going to do? I feel stagnant where I'm at. And I like called you up and was like, hey, do you have a spare bed for me to sleep in?
Yeah.
And I ended up moving back out, and we ended up like sharing a place for like a year or so. And then you introduced me to my wife, and I can honestly say that my life would not be the same if it wasn't for you.
Oh, don't say that. Like, your life wouldn't be the same without, like, your pair of pants that you love. You know what I mean? Like, you can cherry pick all you want. Your life would have been great in other ways, regardless. But yeah, it's turned out great.
Yeah, very great. So yeah, that is the story of us.
Yeah, that's the abridged version. Yeah, just pure like young adolescent friendship between two boys, you know? Like, that sounds weird to say that, but I mean, it like, when I think of like the quintessential like friendship that boys have when they're young and like play video games and like go outside and do stuff, like, I think of us, because I can't really think of another friend that I've had as long as you, and especially that we've done so many different things together too. So yeah, it's great. And now we're doing this. Look at this shit.
There you go. And you know what? I'm just going to cast this out into the ether if anybody picks it up. If you're in a similar situation and you're either moving away from your friends or you have a really good friend who's moving away from you, like, distance is not the end all to that.
Yeah. And also, I want to throw more shit in the ether.
Just floating around in the ether, there's all this poop around. What?
All this poop with good advice written around it. If you...
The shit scribes.
That's our subtitle of our lives. That's our job titles. If you are feeling super stagnant in your life and you feel like you need a change of pace, or you feel like you're in a toxic, I don't know, friendship or whatever it is, you know, you just feel stuck, I highly encourage you to take that step to do whatever it is to get out of that, whether that's moving to the town over, whether that's going out and finding a job that's different, moving across the country, moving to another country, whatever it is, do it. Life is too short. And I mean, after doing so many things in my life, the one thing that I think I've learned the most is like to be, well, I guess there's two things. Be positive. Mm-hmm. At any chance you possibly can. But the other thing is to just do whatever it is. Don't let yourself think about the pros and cons of things too much. You do want to weigh things and you do want to be logical. But I mean, after I have done something big in my life, I've always been like, oh, this was so much better off than I thought it was, being just a worry wart that I am. Why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah.
I feel like if I say that and it can help even one person do something a little bit sooner than they were going to, or do something that they weren't going to do that they wanted to, then man, did I just make a difference in the world. So yeah.
And get a pet. Getting a pet also helps.
Yes, I mean, get a pet when you know you can commit to a pet. Don't get a pet and then like next year be like, oh, I gotta throw this thing out. Like, so many people that do that. Sometimes there's people on streams that are like, oh, I gotta throw this thing over my head. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I saw that actually. I saw the clip of that. God.
Awful. Do not treat pets... Whatever, never mind. I'm not going into that. That infuriates me to no degree. Anyway,
well, again,
Sammy, awesome.
You, Sammy.
Oh, we're talking over each other. Sorry. Sammy, thank you so much for that email. That is great question.
Thanks, Sammy.
That was almost a life advice question too, which I'm throwing out that fishing rod, that life advice fishing rod, waiting for the bobber to go down.
I feel particularly like empowered on giving the life advice this episode.
Yes, write in questions to us asking for advice on life. We'll be able to tell you whether we can or can't say something about it. Exactly. I'm not shy to be like, no, I don't know, but I guess you should go talk to a therapist about that because that has helped me. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Exactly.
We try to be positive on here.
But Oni, that is not the only question that we have this week.
No, we have a bunch more. Keep going.
Yep. So, next question that we have is from Eirik. Eirik is writing back in.
Hello, Eirik.
Hey, how's it going? So, Eirik writes in, "Hi guys. Thanks for the co-op list. Already playing through some of it, and we are having fun." And I also like the little note that he puts in here. Why does my autocorrect always want to write Playboy when I am trying to write playing?
Your autocorrect knows what's up, Eirik.
It does. You know, game represent game. Wow.
I'm leaving
There's
all of that in.
there's a saying
Leaving it in.
there.
Nope, that's staying in.
So, he writes in, "But now with the Switch Lite is coming out, we will have 2 systems in the house. Can you recommend other games for co-op that we need 2 systems to play? By the way, when you talk about games in the podcast, could you end the segment with repeating the title? I sometimes forget what game you are talking about, and it's a hassle to go back and find the name. After you talked about Hollow Knight the other day, I ended up downloading Hollow because that was all I could remember. That scary ass shit is not what I signed up for. Oh my god. Costing me like $1 though, so it was still worth it. Thanks for the lovely podcast, Eirik, smiley face."
Thank you, Eirik.
Thanks, Eirik, smiley face.
Also, that is a fantastic suggestion. I'm sorry I probably didn't even do it this episode,
No, that's
even
good.
though I read your email ahead of time, so I'm sorry. But thank you so much for suggesting things like that. I want to hear things like that from all of you lovely listeners, because I want to make this podcast better and make it what you guys want too. So thank you. We will be making efforts to do that.
You got it.
And I'm sorry you purchased Hollow, but tthankfully it was only like around $1. I heard that game's not good, sadly.
Yeah. So, Oni, you went first last time, so why don't you go first again? I have a list of recommendations, and knowing what you did last time, I'll just cross off the ones that you say that are the same as mine.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll go if there's anything left.
So firstly, you are welcome, Eirik, on that big old list that we gave you last time. We super appreciate when readers write in, so we put the utmost effort into answering your questions. So I've got another large list for you this time. Oh, and I should also say tusen takk, which is Norwegian for thank you very much.
Nice.
That's like the only Norwegian I know. He's from Norway, right? Like, I swear to God, he's from Norway.
I think so.
Let me know, Eirik. You can hate me if I... Oh my God. Anyway, technically, anything that supports online co-op can be used in the way that you're looking for, as long as you guys have an internet connection. But I think that you're talking about you and your wife, so probably the majority of the time you want something that is not tied to that internet connection. So I'm going to say that the new Wolfenstein, Youngblood, that has LAN play apparently. I haven't played it yet. Oh no, it's just on the cusp because it comes out like the same day as Fire Emblem.
Yeah,
so it'll be out
really soon.
Yeah, it'll be out by the time this podcast airs. So do check that out if you and your wife are into shooters. I've heard that this new Wolfenstein series is solid. Also, I think that those launched kind of cheap. It's not like a full price €60 game. So there's another feather in the cap. Moving on, Bayonetta 2 has LAN play, and they have all kinds of challenge missions, and that is like the best character action game probably ever, in my opinion.
I gotta give you credit for that one. I did not have that one on my list.
And then, of course, going back to what I was talking about earlier in the show, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. That is my biggest recommendation. But my opinion, though, is to fiddle with your settings and controls. I recommend taking off the damage numbers because there's a lot of visual overstimulation in that game. Let your eyes glaze over in the right places. My opinion is that you don't need damage numbers on there at all. But you'll also not have I think you will not have the camera problems that I was having because you'll be playing on 2 separate systems, so that'll be really helpful. And then keeping with the high energy kind of difficult games, if you are into Monster Hunter style games, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate or God Eater 3
you
clutch.
took mine.
Yeah. I played the demo of God Eater 3, God Hunter 3. It isn't my thing per se, sadly. I want to be into it, but it just isn't my thing. But it's got a demo on the eShop. you both can give it a shot, download it, see if it works for you. That connects up to 8 players from what I recall from the YouTube videos when it launched. It might be online connection only, but I can't quite remember. I have more. Are you okay?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm good so far. I still have a list left.
Okay, good. Splatoon 2 is also a great one. It is super fun to play with another person in that game. You can do local co-op or online together. I find it like seriously like a million times more fun to play that game with a friend. The frustrations that I usually feel in that game are next to non-existent when I'm playing with an actual buddy. Then we also have heard that Luigi's Mansion 3 will apparently support LAN play.
I no longer have a list.
Are you serious?
No.
Wait, like, are you not serious or are
No,
you serious?
I'm not serious.
Okay. I mean, the game's not out yet, so we're not sure, but apparently it's going to support LAN play with Guigi and Luigi, so keep that in your prospects. I have one more to mention, but I have a feeling that Galen definitely has it on his list, so Galen, go on. You throw more stuff at Iric and his wife.
I want to hear what your last one is.
Diablo 3.
Yeah, that was on my list.
Yeah. That game is open world, so you have a lot to talk about between you and like your wife when you're talking about like say the characters in the world or where to go next or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a lot of interactions with each other outside of the game, but about the game as well. So I think that's a really good one to throw in the mix.
Yeah.
So Galen, what one game is left on your list?
What half of a game is left on? Yeah, well, and to be completely honest, I mean, all the games that you mentioned are absolutely fantastic. I also wanted to change up my list a little bit from what I recommended last time, because I found this list was a lot harder to make, because so many of the games we kind of like recommended last time, because I feel like the Switch does a good job on giving the option of both multiplayer online and also local couch co-op. So
Yeah.
I really wanted to focus on games that would be very beneficial for playing and focusing on your character. So I'm going to throw Mario Kart 8 out there as well, because playing split screen is one thing, but being able to immerse directly into your own screen and not getting that subtle clue that there's a blue shell flying straight at you by, just glancing over at the other screens on the TV, like that's kind of nice. Another game is Mario Tennis Aces. Same thing. You can play it, just sitting next to each other, but there's something specific about like the camera focused directly on you. It makes the game just a little bit more engaging. Overcooked 2 is kind of a cheaper game that I would recommend, and that is a much more cooperative game where you are just trying to fill out dinner orders, but you have a station for grabbing the food, prepping the food, like chopping it up, whatever, and then cooking it, and then plating it, and then delivering it. And there are tons of obstacles that are always in the way. Like, there's one obstacle where you're playing between 2 cars on the freeway, and you have to somehow get the food into the different areas, and each station is like on a separate car. So it's absolutely wacky, and it can be really fun to like scream at each other and call it cooperation. So other games that I would recommend if you want to go into something that is a little bit more character customization, something kind of like Monster Hunter, I would also check out Warframe.
Oh yeah.
Playing that and having each of you set up a character and going on quests together and being able to play an action RPG together like that is really fun and really engaging.
Warframe's free, by the way.
Yeah, Warframe is free to sign up. You have to pay more for like additional characters if you don't want to like grind for all the gold that you need to buy them, but you know what? Hey, free is free. I like that.
I mean, I downloaded it and I got a lot of fun out of it for free.
Exactly. If you are also looking at more cooperation that you two can play together, Mario Maker 2 is also great. And being able to play some of the race levels that they have on there, and then being able to create stages together as well, because they also have that function where 2 people can make a stage at the same time, and you can cooperatively like put the stuff together. Also, I feel like this is a weird one to kind of throw out, but Minecraft is also on there if you play it or are interested in that kind of much more chill environment to go on, where you want to go and do your own thing, but you also want to play in the same world as someone else. That game is fantastic to go with that. Stardew Valley is another great one. And then the other one that I have on here is Wargroove, but that's if you want to be a little confrontational with each other and you don't want to see what the other person is doing with that. So, yeah, that's about all the games I got on my list.
So there you are. You got a million friggin' games to play. I hope you and your wife, or you and your friends, your partners, whoever, have a ton of fun.
Absolutely. And hey, write in, let us know how which games you liked, which games you didn't like. So
Yeah, that way I get a feel for what you like to play, Eric. I mean, I'm kind of giving out a bunch of different recommendations. I don't know if you're into the hardcore stuff or into the shooters or whatever. So let us know more about you, buddy.
Exactly. I recommend that both you and your wife both download Hollow and play it back to back.
What?
I don't know.
Move on.
All right. We got one last question we're going to squeeze in here at the very end. And that question is from Greg. Hey,
It's not
Greg.
really a question. Hi, Greg.
It is a correction that I am very happy to point out. So,
Yes.
Greg writes in, just so you know, they officially said that Pokemon will come back in later generations that aren't in Sword and Shield, which means that you'll be able to transfer them from your home to your new game. So the whole complaining thing is kind of ridiculous. Greg, very glad you brought this up. I thought I had brought it up in the last episode and got overridden by our host. I don't know, maybe.
No,
but-
you did. Like, hold on. So, Greg, thank you very much for writing in on that. We just didn't make it like super, super clear. So,
Yeah.
So it's good. We're going to clarify things here.
Mm-hmm.
But first off, I am totally with you, dude. The complaints are ridiculous. I completely
Yes.
agree with you. So
100% agreed.
So the quote portion that he's referring to from the Pokemon Company's statement is this, quote, "I'd like to make one thing clear. Even if a specific Pokemon is not available in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, that does not mean it will not appear in future games." End quote. Yeah. So, I mean, I made like the joke about like Pokemon Home is Pokemon Coffin. That's where Pokemon die. Just because, I don't know, it was like the funny thing off the top of my head. You be the judge if it was funny or not, please. But
Please judge him if that was funny or not, please.
but yeah, like you will get use out of your Pokemon in future games, whether that's, I mean, just whatever it is in the future. So
Yeah.
I think though people are still just upset though that they can't bring every single Pokemon that they want into Sword and Shield. Some people are still upset about that, which
Yeah.
I get, but also, I mean, and we already talked about this, but
Yeah.
it's a logical cut. I just wish that the other stakes in the game were a bit more impressive, so that way I could be like, oh, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
I can't have this, but it's okay because I'm getting all this other stuff too.
And we also saw, like, I saw this person on Twitter, I wish I could remember who the user was, they pointed out that, like, the models are the exact same ones from the 3DS Sun and Moon. The wireframes are the same. I mean, the textures are new. Those are new for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are the models from before. And I mean, not to say that like the models are the only thing that needs to come in to the game, but you know, balancing is a big issue, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, there are reasons to definitely remove anything that is not in the Galar region Pokedex, but I just wish there was a little bit more exciting stuff. I just want to be excited about Pokemon, that's all.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for writing in on that, Greg, and for kind of encouraging the clarification / correction on that. If anybody else hears anything and you're like, wait, that ain't right, or whatever, go ahead and write in a correction to us. We want to be correct and we want to be spreading correct information to everybody out there. We are not about spreading BS or emotions or being just a hype machine about video games or whatever. Like, I mean, Pokemon Masters is coming out, Pokemon Sword and Shield is coming out, and I'm like, snooze on both of those games, right? So clearly I'm not trying to be a hype machine on that. The only things I'm excited about are the things I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So what is coming up? What is coming out on Nintendo Everything? We have lots of stuff. We got a Sakurai column where he's talking about how he makes the gameplay portions of Smash Bros. Reveal trailers. We have that Fire Emblem dev interview from Famitsu that we talked about. We also have DC Universe Online interview excerpts coming out throughout the weekend and beyond. Then we have a God Eater 3 review that should be up very soon. Oninaki dev interview translation. So much good stuff. We're just like churning out all this great content for you exclusively. You can check all that out on nintendoeverything.com. Stay connected to us on Twitter at NinEverything. And of course the YouTube, where we're uploading gameplay and junk. youtube.com/NinEverything. And then for me, you can stay connected to my Twitter and Instagram. That way you know what is up. Sometimes you'll get a sneak peek several days early on what I'm cooking up, whether it's something for Nintendo Everything like a translation, or whether it's something for my YouTube channel, Game Married, or even something else. My Twitter is at Oni_Dino, and then my Instagram is at Oni__Dino. And of course, my YouTube channel, links in the description, but it's called Game Married. G-A-Y-M-E. Game Married. Galen, what are you cooking up over there?
Well, this weekend I am going to the Bristol Renaissance Fair. So,
Ooh.
absolutely love the place. It is a lot of fun, and a fun story. That is actually where I proposed to my wife.
Oh my god, if she is cool with it, you should upload that photo of when you proposed to her, because it is my favorite photo I think ever. But only if she's cool with it. If she's not cool with it, then it is what it is. We'll just tell the story on the podcast next episode.
I will definitely talk to her about that, and I might even post it on my Instagram. So I'm thinking I'm actually going to try to use that a little bit more, and I'm going to be taking pictures from Ren Fair. If you want to see what the Bristol Renaissance Fair is like, follow me at true_Mobius.
That's your Instagram, right?
Yep, that is my Instagram.
Okay.
And then if you want to hear just random comments about, stuff that I like, because that's
you
really
gotta sell
all my
it. You
Twitter
gotta sell it a
is.
little harder than this.
Definitely follow me on Twitter at Mobius087.
I thoroughly expect to see lots of Ren Fair pictures.
Ren Fair pics. So they have something new this year that I have no idea why I'm so interested in. They call it Fairy Fluff, and it's like an ice cream treat that is apparently pineapple flavored, but they have very interesting toppings. Like there's one that is maple and bacon on top of this. And
that sounds good.
Yeah, it's bacon on ice cream just sounds so weird to me, but it sounds like it would be the perfect combination. So I'm very interested to try that out.
They've been doing that recently.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard it before. It's just I've never tried it, so I'm very excited about that.
My friend Alan is like a ice cream savant connoisseur crazy person in Atlanta, and he is just cooking up all of the ice cream flavors down there.
Maybe he can give me all of the Japan ice cream recommendations then.
Oh, for sure he will. Yeah, we're going to try out so much different ice cream, you're not even going to know. Oh my god, the ice cream in the kombini are ridiculously good for what that is. God, kombini are just amazing in Japan. It's ridiculous. Why is it so good?
I'm very excited about this trip.
Oh man, my favorite stuff to have when I was younger was these little like grapes. I don't even know what they are. They're like frozen fruit juice of grape, and they're like little balls, and they on the outside have like a little skin, so it's like eating a big old grape. and it's so refreshing and delicious, and oh my god, my mouth is watering right now just thinking about it.
Hey, when we are in Japan, you need to help me find a gaming store, like a card gaming store, because I need to pick up some Japanese Magic the Gathering packs.
Okay, that's not a tall order by any means.
In one of the latest sets that they came out with, they did a special thing where they have like character cards or whatever that they've had for a while. They're called the Planeswalker cards. But because they were making a big event of this thing, they decided to have it so that in the Japanese packs, there was a 1 in 4 chance that the art would be completely different in an anime style as opposed to the traditional high fantasy that it does.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's super cool. And I was like comparing the designs between the two, and I've got friends back here in the States who play a lot of Magic, and I'm like, that would be a great souvenir to just bring back a bunch of these Japanese packs. So,
okay, yeah, we'll
I
figure
need
it
some
out.
assistance.
はい、大丈夫です。問題ないです。お任せください。
昨日のうちに書いてから日本語を勉強しましたか？
はい、頑張ります。
Is that obscure enough to be a callback from our earlier episode?
Sure. Don't call it a comeback. A callback. Oh shit, I screwed it up. いや、あんたがなんかすごいバカなことばっかり言ってるから、俺もちょっとバカなことも言っちゃうわ。And you're never gonna know what I said. はい、同意しましたね。Oh, this is fun. This is fun.
For those of you playing the home game, this is what it's like to hang out with us when we're not doing the podcast. It's just, yeah.
We get weird by the end of the podcast, so I guess like thanks for sticking around always, because this is just where it falls apart. Like a chicken that you cooked on slow.
You know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with like the slow burnout at the end.
Yeah, it's fine.
Plus, you got like all the cool music playing in the background. So if you get some really nice tunes going with that.
Yeah, and the longer that this damn podcast goes on, the more I have to put in music and figure that out. So that's just more work for me too. Thanks.
Welcome.
So, if you're here to the end, you're the best fan, and you need to give us a rating because you're the best fan, if you haven't given us a rating already. So please do that. That's so helpful for us to continue to grow this show. And that way we can keep on doing it. So I would like to keep on doing this, but gotta keep the lights on too.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much. Tune in next week, every Sunday, and for everything Nintendo.
Stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Bye bye.
Adios, everyone.
またね。
どういたしまして。
Thank you.